Greetings! My name is Joe Bob, and I'm very peeved. And welcome back to Sunless. This was recorded a mere few hours after the previous one, purely because I just wanted to play it again. Yeah. They say, when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Unfortunately, it's only the playing that I like, not so much the editing of the videos. That's a tad unfortunate. Let's take on one of these trimarans, why don't we? I keep almost saying that they're triremes. Oh yeah, it's near death already after that first salvo. And now it dies. Alright, seize and looter. Take what you can. Give nothing back. Prisoner cut down in Ikigani that remain. What's this? What's in the hold? See what remains. You've won no favor with the Conet here today. Take whatever you can. Mushroom wine. Alright, not worth it. That wasn't even worth the trouble I went through to kill it. And that was barely any trouble at all. Fucking mushroom wine. It's like one of the least valuable goods out there. Ah, right. Forgot about this. Element on, that's like... Ooh, yeah, and also this. Yeah. The exiles are unlikely to be bothered by one more outcast. A knack for concealment. The Lilligan disappears in the moist shadows of a nearby wreck. A shadow watches it go. Mushrooms, she says cheerfully. I've missed mushrooms. Oh, I can get more watchful curios if I want watchful curios for some reason. I don't know. Maybe. Alright, here we go. Seek the clay heart among the abandoned holes. And I just remembered I still forgot to actually... Do I actually have stuff to swap out? Oh no, I guess I did remember to swap the stuff out. Never mind then. Let's see, can I spec for more mirrors? I don't think so. Definitely not for the first officer. Alright. Well then. Well, I guess I could just get more mirrors. How many mirrors do I have? 86, 73. So that's... assume that 90 would be... That'd be... 120-ish? Yeah. I should really get more mirrors in general, actually. I forget which one you go to. First officer, probably? No, it's pages. What are the other first officers? You? Also pages. You? Mirrors. Here we go, finally. Got loads. I really need to spend these fucking secrets. It's hard to tell, like, what to spend them on. Yeah, I'll get it to 100. Why not? Mirrors is one of the most important stats in the game, really. Useful in so many checks, and it's extremely valuable in combat. Yeah, more so even than irons, I'd say. You know what? One more for the road. Wait a minute, did I just say the base was 69? Yeah, I mean, it says like... And for some reason, the increasing mirror stuff is based off of your total mirrors and not your base mirrors. The problem is they don't really make a distinction between that. Which is unfortunate. First of all, it means that you've got to, you know, unequip all your officers and any auxiliary or what have you items if you want to increase it. If you want to actually increase it up to 100 with these officers. But secondly, it's even more aggravating with some of the later, or with a couple of the later ships, which increase your stats. Anyways, here we go. Seek the Clatery heart among the abandoned holes. If she is here, the Clatery heir will recognize her. Oh, her. Start over. The shipwrights are watching you. Everyone here seems unduly fascinated by your presence. You've only walked a quarter of the docks when the Clatery heir takes your elbow. The light is too dim. I can't be certain of the shape of the holes. She might be here without me seeing her. From the deck of the closest ship, someone spits something at your feet. It's actually... What? What is that? Chunk of tongue, the Cladrier says, giving a poke with the toe of her boot. Just say they don't care to speak with us. Let's go. Well, that was unfortunate. What do you mean that further investigations will be easier? It's exactly the same chance. Whatever. I guess I was due for some really bad luck, considering that I succeeded that 22% chance one earlier. Here we go. A memory of a memory. The Cladrier heir walks the dock, watching the holes in the outlines of the ship. She moves slowly, so that she doesn't look too eager. We probably won't find her here, the heir says. I don't expect to. I don't believe in clinging to specific hopes and expectations of that kind. It's just the sort of obsession that ruins lives, just the kind of thing I'm always having to repair. You don't find the ship, so you walk the docks 3 times over. It doesn't matter, says the Cladrier heir. I don't mind. But surely there's more you can do. Right. Ask about the Cladrier heart among the shipwrights. If the stories are true, they must at least remember her. On to Frostfound. She made the other ships restless, says the Kiganian shipwright. In the end, we had to repair her enough to let her go. She turned north with the last of the crew that still lived on her. But she sailed too close by Frostfound, and the ice swallowed her. At least that is the story that has come back to us. Alright. Seek treatment for sunlight. The wonders of the Nath can handily undo certain cravings. Oh yeah, I've got a bunch of zoop for some reason. Yeah. The wonders of unlight. You're pulled into a room lined with filament bulbs and directed to sit on a stool. The merry glass blower spends a few minutes rearranging and swapping out the bulbs for different colors, then leaves you in the dark. For a time, the colors of the Neathbo wash over you. You relax and submit to the display, feeling your desire for that alien luminescence fade. Alien is right. I'm not really certain what that is. Divine Radiance. I don't know. Probably something really bizarre. Anyways, let's go down and find Nook. Get some Stygian ivory, then head on to Nuncio to do the stuff there. Alright, southwest. Hi. Here we go. This is Nook. Lovely place, isn't it? A grand gaping maw. Missed my stop. God, that's such a... That's the fucking coolest thing ever. Just stalking at a giant gaping maw. I fucking love the atmosphere of this game. A gap in this colossal Z-monster's throat has been forced open with thick heart metal beams. They strain under the pressure, but hold. As you pass through, your submarine lights pass over a message carved in a floating piece of some unfortunate hull. Beyond is Nook. Beyond is freedom. Beyond is... The rest is scratched out. Enter Nook. The water presses against the airlock door. The breathing and slithering of the beast gives it a rhythm of a drum beat. Trespasser in freedom. You don your heavy diving suit and give the order to cycle the airlock. Water rushes in and you begin the slow swim down into the port. It soon becomes obvious that you are overdressed for the occasion. The people of Nook swim and breathe in the cloudy maw water with no apparent discomfort. Most are naked. with just a few clad in rotten rags that stream from their skin with no concern for modesty. None will communicate with you, if they even can. Those who acknowledge your presence just laugh silently at your bulky suit and unnecessary air hose. You'll need a different approach. Descend naked into Nook. At least you're unlikely to run into anyone you know. You undress. Every button. Every stitch. The door opens. Ice-cold water rushes upwards. Instinct holds your mouth shut. 10 seconds. 20 seconds. Your lungs burn, holding in that last gulp of air. Your legs thrash. You can't hold it in. It escapes. You're choking on water. It forces its way into your lungs. The taste of burning salt, suffocating every attempt to gasp, scream, or... Then, through the exhaustion and panic, you realize you're breathing. It's hard work. Your lungs fight against the weight. But it's enough. You can tolerate it, at least for now. God, Nook is so fucking cool. Ooh. A torn, pinned back cavity in the flesh wall offers access to the city's monstrous host. Razor-sharp teeth the size of buildings jut from the fatty, garnet-red flesh. Many teeth have been quarried out into homes, barricaded by scraps of wood from shipwrecks. Alright. Release the Blooming. Go, little mushroom. Go, little mushroom. Be free. A place to thrive. The Blooming adapts to the water before it has even left the submarine's airlock. It bubbles contentedly and sinks deep down into the depths, where meat is fresher and the light is low. Alright. What was I doing here? Oh, right. There was some place I could get Stygian ivory from here. But where was it? Wait a minute. I'm an idiot. I was gonna get harlot fries from Wither. Getting harlot fries that way, or at least the way I intend to do it, gets Stygian ivory. There was no point in coming here, was there? Fuck. Well, I can at least get a port report. No one here has anything to hide. Actually, no one here is hiding anything at all. A logistical issue. Ah, no pen. Of course. You'll just have to record what you remember when you're back in the submarine. Worried about the loss of tolerance for Nook water. You know what, I'll just return. Better not to leave the crew waiting for too long. You swim into the airlock and alert the crew. Air flows in. You retch the last of the Nook water from your lungs. Air again. How refreshing. The crew salutes as you pass. Good. All is well. Anything that happened in Nook shall remain in Nook. Alright, time to go. Unfortunate that we're already leaving that place. Pretty neat. But you know what's also neat? Nuncio. Nuncio's a pretty cool place. It's weird going between the submarine and the regular ship. The submarine is just feels so much more detailed, you know? It feels like going from the game to between a game and its sequel. Maybe a remake. No, remakes are usually terrible. Okay. Nuncio. Yes. Let's see, anything over here? Argue with the man holding a broom. He is determined. He keeps shoving letters into the sea. The sea keeps shoving them back. Or assists the man holding the broom. Both of you together still won't achieve anything, but maybe he'd feel better. It's the old thing, like, won't really make much of a difference. It made a difference to him. You know, the throwing starfish back into the sea or whatever it was. Surprisingly soothing. In the long term, what you are doing won't make the slightest bit of difference. Every sudden bit of paper you fling out to sea will come back in a few hours. But for now, you manage to clear a little patch of shore, a few feet on each side. The stones are bare, as they should be. Your companion turns his head towards the sound of your work and gives you a little nod. What are the odd currents here? The water that brings floats them ashore does not follow the usual patterns. On all sides, you make a complete circuit of the island. The whole shoreline is alike, all of it covered in debris, all of it washing steadily inland from every direction. Not the work of some directional current. It's more as though the whole Untersee were draining into Nuncio. Except, of course, that force did not affect your ship when you came this way. It does not stop ships leaving. Evidently, it works only on the post. Naturally. Alright. The Postman's Tavern. The Inky Blotter, it's called. The sign doesn't look like much. Warmer inside than it looks. Faces turn in your direction, but no one seems surprised to have a new arrival on the island. The Inky Blotter. Lit by 2 roaring fires, one at either end of the room, the bartender... Oh, I thought that was a comma. Lit by 2 roaring fires, one at either end of the room. The bartender is in postman's uniform, like almost all of the patrons. A noseless postal inspector called Blunt Thomas delivers the drinks, clears tables, stacks the firewood. Let's see. Ooh. Allow the Clatery Air to offer services. You can remove the call from a postal worker. They wouldn't be a worker anymore, of course. The hairless postwoman won't hear of it, but you do get one taker. I miss London, he says. I'm tired. The inside of my mouth tastes like stamped glue. Blunt Thomas gives you a bottle of rum and the use of the basement. No amenities, but I don't fancy cleaning the blood off a better floor. The patient takes off his uniform for the last time, and lies on the cold floor. No spectators, says the Clatery Air harshly, and puts you out of the room. She comes out later with a scrap of skin for the patient's chest. The patient follows, whistling a tune from Mahogany Hall. Oh, I'm back here. Let's see. Ooh, I can hand off some deliverable post, but... Let's see. You listen in on postal tall tales. Fishermen brag about fish that got away. Postmen brag about hard deliveries. Amazing what you get for a penny stamp. Delicate bottles lowered down chimneys on a rope. Do not fold under any circumstance, letters curled through a narrow slot. Rattling, groaning crates brought back to the same address every day for 22 days running. The windows they pried open, the servants they bribed, the delivery surcharges they paid out of their own salaries just to get rid of one more packet. It is hard to tell which they hate more, the senders of the mail or the recipients. Stands to reason, if the message was a welcome one, they'd tell the other fellow in person, reflects the hairless postwoman. Let's see, ask why the local currency consists of rats. Ah. Damn it, Space Marine 9, look what you've done! 2 strings of rats for a pint of ale, 3 strings for wine, 5 for the tolerable brandy under the bar. Scarcity is not an issue. The hairless postwoman at the end of the bar smiles mirthlessly, or maybe it's just the lack of eyebrows that does it. Long enough carrying the things around, you get into the habit, she says. Then she tells you that if you stay out late enough, you'll see some of the postmen making a procession to the center of the island, stringing up rats around the statue like Yuletide decorations, in prayer to an ancient deity of this place. Damn you, Space Marine 9! From the coughing and choking elsewhere in the pub, you'd guess this is a story they often tell to newcomers. Ask why the hairless postwoman is hairless. Legacy of some interestingly explosive package, maybe? Faux pas. No, she says. Curt, not pleased you asked. Still had eyebrows when I came to Nuncio. The postman at the next bench diverts you, speaks in a low voice. Lots of people find habits when they can't deliver the post anymore. This one is a plucking habit. Best learn not to notice. You glance up. The hairless postwoman is still glaring at you. As for the big statue at the center of the island, if there were a guidebook for visitors, it would have to be the first entry. The monumental postman. Oh, that. It's all of us, isn't it? That's sort of the spirit of the island. Most of them don't seem troubled for more of an explanation than that. Though the hairless postwoman tells you it didn't always look like a fallen London postman at all. He used to have a different face and a more old-fashioned outfit. That's how they occupy themselves all day. There must be more than this. There's gotta be something better than this for me. Dead letter office. Big building, center of town. Hard to miss. You can work there too if you want. It's not clear whether this is a generous offer or a threat. Ask to borrow a uniform. If you're to fit in here, you'll need one. Look, but not touch. They're polite, even apologetic about your request. You're welcome here, and welcome to take shifts at the dead letter office. But you cannot wear the uniform, unless you were a postal employee back in fallen London. Regulations. Blunt Thomas lets you have a look at his uniform jacket at least. Neat stitching, gilded buttons, a thin but dignified circle of braid at the collar. Inside, a patch that goes over the heart, stitched with 6 red letters. You can't read it, but it makes your eyes itch and your scalp feel like burning. Alright, accepted by the locals. Let's see, hand off some deliverable post to one of the postmen. Well, that's what it's here for. Give at least one of them a second chance. A reason to leave Nuncio. Alright. On the 5th explanation. She doesn't believe you at first, not even though you show her how the letters have firmly written clear addresses to buildings that definitely exist, or did when you left London anyhow. Valid stamps, no delivery failure markings. When she finally understands, she kisses your cheek. Then she dumps strings of rats and a couple of decks of cards out of her carrier pouch and fills it with the new material. Then she's off to the docks. She'll be back eventually, mutters the old man by the door. Then again, maybe not. Trusted in Nuncio. Give a postman an opportunity to leave Nuncio. Good. Good for her, I suppose. Alright. Ask why the letters wash ashore here. Maybe one of them will know. Probably not. The pole. It's the pole, they tell you. Dead letters are like so many iron filings drawn to Nuncio. Alright, that's a no then. They don't know why it happens. See for yourself, suggests the hairless postwoman. Go down to the shore, collect up a bunch of what's washed there, and you'll feel it soon enough. Saves time for the rest of us, says another voice. Apparently beach scavenging is a civic duty hereabouts, like working in the dead letter office. Right. Collect material for the dead letter office. This is where all the flotsam belongs, so it can be sorted. Will of its own. I have a will of my own. You make your way along the shore with a big sack. Many of the envelopes are too damp to read. Their address is permanently lost. But a surprising number are still legible. There are also parcels. Here and there is a crate, a message in a wine bottle, a sealed cask that has bobbed up out of a shipwreck. Your sack ought to get heavy with all these contents, but it pulls upwards and away, straining inland towards the dead letter office like an unimaginable dog. Unimaginable dog. That's a interesting euphemism. Let's see. Throw your undeliverable post in the fire. That, I don't think they'd appreciate that. There we go. Ask why the postman came here. You don't get the impression they're making a holiday of it. All unhappy postmen are alike. Their stories have different beginnings. Boredom, frustration, a man who is overwhelmed by guilt after a misdelivery. Want to hear that story, but they always end the same way. Undeliverable letters and parcels accumulating over months and years. Attempts to ignore the undeliverable, to shove it into a desk or carry it in the bottom of a bag. An increasing preoccupation with these items. Finally, a decision. To meet the compulsion. To go to Nuncio and be rid at last of the remnants. The postmen do not bring the dead letters to Nuncio. The letters bring the postman. That's not ominous in the slightest. Alright. Try a shift at the dead letter office. There's a sign of a cancelled stamp over the door. Extensive tour. Blunt Thomas takes you around the office. A small collection room where those retrieving letters may state their business. A much larger set of back offices where newly arrived letters and parcels are collected and sorted. A dank, briny smell that never goes away. Probably because so many of the parcels spent time in the water before they arrived here. In the back room, there is a machine manned, ratted, by a postal rat, a Rattus Faber in a pinstriped hat, also known as an LB, which stands for Little Bastard, or Bugger perhaps. It shovels sludge-damp letters into the machine's hopper, and they come out dried, cleaned, pressed, and sorted into slots by size and quality of paper. One has various possible occupations here. None can be described as fast-paced. Feed your undeliverable letters into the sorting machine. The gleaming hopper awaits. 52 categories. After prolonged whirring, the machine begins to distribute 7 invitations edged in gilt into the correspondence of the aristocracy slot. 2 oversized parcels, probably containing books, into the books tray. 1 stamped bronze tablet that drops with a clang into a bin marked First City. Jesus, that was like centuries ago. Maybe even thousands of years. The postal rat watches all this with an air of satisfaction. I can offer employment. The postal rat's niece. He asks it as a favor, and she sounds well trained and eager. Alright. Strongest possible recommendation. The postal rat is grateful, and says so at length and in a variety of ways. Only so much work to go around on, Nuncio. She keeps asking to assist me here, but as you can see, a gesture at heaps of loose gears and unhooked chains. I hardly require any assistance, and my research is so delicate at a stage. But she's an excellent worker, very bright, like her mother. Oh, that's not very useful. They can be used with the, they can be used to make repairs if you have a pneumatic delivery system, but eh. Alright, ask the postal rat for a key to the basements. You've worked here long enough, and you might need one. No trouble at all. He's surprised by the request. Most postmen don't like it down there. No one has ever asked for a key, but I'll cut you a new one. Just be careful in there, and come out if you start to feel wrong. Well, that's not ominous in the slightest. Open the back rooms. The key is warm in your pocket. You had expected a few shelves of supplies? More files of letters, a few years older? No. It is a pit, so deep that lantern light does not show the bottom. A spiral walkway descends along its wall, and that spiral opens wider as it goes, as if you were looking through the narrow end of a very large shell. Lining this wall are shelves and nooks. I was just at Nook. Unevenly sized. Some are a few inches square and contain single scrolls of papyrus. Others support crates bigger than coffins. They're made of a woody fungus, grown to meet requirements. There are no marks of carpentry, or any of the postal rat's handiwork. 3 turns down the spiral and you feel you can't breathe. Time to leave. You can come back later. Maybe. Let's see. Tell the rat of your basement findings. Give you something new to chat about. Let's see. Or, make a further solitary exploration of the basement. Perhaps you were hasty in leaving earlier. It can't be so very bad. Ancient voyages. You get further this time. 3 twists. 6. 10. The cavern is at least 100 feet wide at this point, and there is no sign of the bottom. The things on the shelves are labeled in languages you can't read. There are rusty iron boxes, wooden planks, clay tablets. Now here's a thing you might hope to understand. A packet wrapped in oilskin. Rolls of maps depicting unfamiliar shorelines. Annotations concerning the creatures of the deep. A mark of where the captain drowned in his astrolabe. As a sacrifice or out of fear? Centuries old the message may be, but seafarers have the same needs and the same fears. You pick apart the knot on the captain's diary and spread the pages. A prickling heat sweeps over your scalp. You can't read the words. You can't read the words. You can't read the words. When you get back upstairs, empty-handed, you remember the story you could not read. There was a field of stars, and it was swarming with maggots. How distressing. Let's see. Could descend into the basement with flame if I had more foxfire candles and a flare. Descend into the basement with mirrors. Arrange contraptions. Divert light. Illuminate what has been dark a long time. 60% chance of failure, and I'm fairly certain failure will just increase terror by a chunk. So you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. Succeeded. Okay. Spiral on glittering... spiral on spiral on glittering spiral. The descent is long and slow. You count the turns at first, but the time comes when you can't see the square of light from the door above, and can't mark how far you have come around the spiral. The illumination you have contrived gets dimmer the further you go, until you come at last to a floor whose base you can barely see. The floor is carpeted with... At first you think it is gravel, but no, it is broken shards of clay and stone, all scribbled over in words too old to read. At the center of this space is a needle of deep black rock, glossy as resin, glittering with ice, inscribed with 3 arcane sigils that hurt to look at. You feel a meaning in their presence, a prohibition, or commandment, that all things must come to their destined place, that what cannot be delivered immediately must be saved against a future date, that a message that goes unheard is a tragedy, that the signal must be carried no matter how far, no matter through what darkness, no matter whether the sender still lives, nor whether the recipient can even read the language of the writing. The inscription resolves itself and is known to you. No word lost. Now this is cosmic horror for you. So much of this game is full of terror and bizarre nature, but this, I don't know what it is. I'm not even entirely certain what it is about it, but this is one of the most chilling things in this entire game to me. Perhaps because it is a natural extreme of my own desires to preserve information, that it could become so damn malignant. The climb out is slow and takes a long time. Could you possibly have come down this far? Surely not. Your breath goes ragged and your legs cramp. Sit down a moment. The rest of the spiral will still be there after you've got your breath. Visions? Dreams? You relax against a shelf. It isn't comfortable at all, as the edge of a metal box is prodding you between the spine and the shoulder blade, and somewhere off to your right is a sound like a horse breathing. It doesn't matter. In the dimness you see, or remember, or dream, a silver tree growing in a courtyard. The reverie lasts only a few heartbeats before you're properly awake again. There's no way but up. At the surface, the dead letter office is still here. Its machine still working. Its basket still filling with missed invitations and misplaced wills. Shouldn't it have been blasted away, destroyed by the force of what lies beneath? And yet, The sun comes up and the world still spins. Yeah. Tell the postal rat what you saw below. Maybe he will be curious. Without name. You start to explain, but your language doesn't have the right words to express it. The weight of the delivery commandment, the sacred necessity for every word to reach its destination, and the countless individual miscarriages of meaning from one entity to another, which have occurred throughout history and are still occurring, to the detriment of the whole universe. He holds up a paw. Not going to understand it no matter how much you explain, he says, and I'm glad. If I did understand, I'd be likely to run mad, working where and as I do. After a moment he adds, likely you'll forget, at least forget some of it. After all, you never wore the uniform. Then he points out where your hair has singed at the temples, and gives you an ointment he keeps in a drawer. Now the choice is for the climax. Judge the postman in light of what you now know. All have failed. Or honor the postman in light of what you now know. All have tried. You can either honor them for their efforts or condemn them for their failures, but neither seem right, do they? The loss of the mail is a tragedy, to be sure. But an inevitable one, is it not? Information will always be lost, no matter what we do. But this... all Nuncio and all its inhabitants, this is not something to be... They're not something to be honored or condemned, but pitied. This is a tragedy that was not inevitable. This was something they tried to prevent information entropy, just the loss of information over time, and maybe they've certainly stymied it a bit, but look at what it cost. All these people working or not. All these people lost, having their losing their dreams. All these people. And for what? What? I don't even know what. Also that no word will be lost, but it will be, though. Won't it? No, neither of those seem right. Says here, watch the tide come in. Even water obeys the fiery words. The pole. There's a new day's wash of post. Some is recently mailed, and some has been in the water a very long time. If it cannot be delivered, then at least it can be categorized and archived against the day when a recipient arrives. Even if it seems that no recipient will ever come, because no one can ever be quite certain. The tide carries in a fish larger than you, branding it ashore. It opens its jaws and coughs out a parcel in brown paper. One pair bespoke gentleman's avid gloves, special delivery, teeth freshly sharpened, compliments of the tailor. The next wave pulls the fish back out to sea. And thus continues. A greater tragedy than it could ever have been prevented. Than it could ever be preventing, rather. Not unlike seeking Mr. Eden's name, really. The loss of post is a tragedy, to be sure, but throw a stone in spite, and you'll In the Spite District of Fallen London, and you'll hit 5 worse ones. Throw a stone in Nuncio, and you'll hit a dozen. It ain't right. Half marine chart, half poem. Never mind who lives here now, or how they came. Nuncio is older than its inhabitants. Its pull is a glad fury, defying distance and weight and normal currents, so that the messages between beings may survive, even when the writers themselves are bones on the seafloor. But why? Why are the messages worth more than the people? They aren't. As they say, one often meets tragedy on the road they take to prevent it. But I don't think the people who made Nuncio really care about people. Not the little people, as they say. Not that people can be called... Not that anyone can really be called a little person. Besides midgets. They view this unending tragedy as just a fact of life or whatever. Just a small cost to be paid to preserve information, but I don't know. I don't think anyone really does. And on that somber note, I think I'll end the video here. A shorter one than usual, but what more can be said? Nothing but this. I have been Joe Bob, and I'm very peeved. So long.